I, for one, am very, very excited to dive into this topic. I think this is like almost every single agent that comes into the business has basic questions when it comes to social, right? What do I post? When do I post? How do I grow my following? How do I use it, right? And I think, we can just chat about this for a couple minutes before we dive in, but I think from my perspective in dealing with hundreds of agents now, it all comes down to the fact that we're overcomplicating it and we're not using it for what it is, which is simply the ability to have conversations at scale, right? And when we do that and we have authentic conversations, we can build trust and we can build influence, right? Which is really what this class is all about. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, 100% agree. If you think about it, it's definitely to a scale. I mean, what else is out there that you can literally be able to see and talk to thousands of people at any given second? You can literally go on and you can like, I got like 1,500 friends. So I'm not going to make 1,500 phone calls. Right now, I could sit there and I could post something, I could send something out, and I can literally scale it to almost everybody that I know. And a really quick, simple, easy way to do it. And that's a big thing, is I think that you called out earlier, is definitely simple. It doesn't have to be you don't have to overcomplicate it. You don't have to sit there and think too much into it. You can make it as simple as you want. You can make it as complicated as you want, by all means. But what we're here to talk about today is, how do you make it simple? How do we make it as simple as possible for you to be able to reach all of those people? Yeah, and I think in today's market, you have to, like social media is such a big impact in everybody's lives that if you're not going after this to some degree, then you're missing the boat. What did they say? How many agents are there out there? Like 1.5 million agents out there.
Yeah,
and only 1 million listings.
1.3 million.
Right, and there's more agents than there are listings right now, right? So somebody's getting in front of them. Hopefully it's you, but if not, that's kind of what today's about, is to help you get in front of them a little bit more.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do, and the goal at the end of this class in particular, is to give you actionable items that are simple enough for you to be able to go execute on every single day. And that is the biggest challenge I see, is when we build up social to be this big complicated thing, then it becomes overwhelming. And when something's overwhelming, then we start internally creating excuses of why we can't or shouldn't do it. Right. And that leads to us doing anything, because we've basically become paralyzed by analysis. Right. And so then we just do nothing. Right. And that is super upsetting when I see it, because there's so many agents that are just doing very simple things and kind of following the plan that we created that are having amazing results. Right. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's dive into this. So obviously what we're really diving into today is building your social influence on all the different platforms. And so that's really our goal. If I could get this to actually click through, that'd be awesome. So
there you go.
Wanted to start out with the most basic definition of influence, right? Which is to affect or change someone or something in an indirect, I'm going to come back to indirect, but usually important way, right? And that to me is one of the most unspoken impacts of social, because we truly can subtly build brand, right? Which is why it is so important that 95% of the content and posts and things that you do on social will have nothing to do with real estate, or very little.
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing to do with real estate, right?
And that's the indirect way. Now, when we do those indirect activities on a consistent basis, now we're subtly building brand, which is also building connection and trust, which is going to allow us to have an important impact when the time comes. Because all I really want is that if Jimmy's in my sphere and Jimmy and I don't talk every day because we're not best friends, right? Do that, but he's in my sphere, if I'm posting every day, that's like me and Jimmy seeing it. That's like me and Jimmy almost talking every day, right? Even though Jimmy doesn't feel like we're talking every day, subtly we're talking every day, right? And so now Jimmy goes and gets a new job and starts making more money and realizes, you know what, now it's time to go buy a house. And I've been talking to Jimmy every day. Guess who pops in Jimmy's mind first, right? And so even though there's 1.3 million agents, they all log out because I was talking to Jimmy every day, right? I think you guys get where I'm going with this. So that's really what we want to get across. And that's easier to do than we think it is. So as I mentioned when we first started this, social media is simply a way to have conversations at scale, right? I can have a conversation with Jimmy and with everyone else who sees that piece of content and start having conversations. And then if we strategically follow those up with true one-on-one conversations, now we're really getting somewhere, right? And we're going to dive into that. So before we get too deep, I want to make sure that we understand how these platforms work. So Jimmy, if I said, what is the goal of Facebook, right? What would you say their goal is?
I think just to get in front of everybody. But again, I think it's more of a quick snapshot, kind of timeline. How's everything kind of going every single day kind of action, I guess you could say. Like they just want to get as many people to see as much stuff as possible in your day-to-day life.
100%.
Way to connect with all of your friends, all of your everybody. An easy way to connect and see kind of what's going on.
That's it. I mean, at the end of the day, right, their number one goal, I guess you could say, is your attention. Because if they have your attention on the platform, then they also have the ability to show you an ad. And if they have the ability to show you an ad, they have the ability to make money, right? Because I don't know about you, Jimmy, unless you've been scammed, but I don't pay anything on a monthly basis to be on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn or any of the other ones.
I may have bought something though. I may have bought something that has popped up, you know. So in all in all, I mean, really, right? We won't talk about that. We won't talk about that.
Some we can't talk about on here.
Some we can't talk about. Some we can't.
But that's the goal, right? That's their goal. Their goal is to simply get your attention, to keep you on the platform as long as possible, because the more that they can keep you engaging and scrolling, the more time they have to show you an ad. And the more that they can get you to click on and engage on, the more they learn, right? Oh, okay. Jimmy likes the Redskins, which, my man.
Football team. It's a football team. Come on.
Not here. It's not. Not here.
Okay. I'll take that.
So once they learn that, now they have power, right? Which again gives them data that they can use for their advertisers, which makes their advertising platform more valuable to advertisers, which means their platform, all in all, becomes worth billions of dollars, right? And so I love when people get upset with Mark Zuckerberg and everyone else and all the other founders of all the other social platforms because this and that. Listen, I don't agree with everything that they do. The reality is it's their platform and it's free.
Right.
You don't like it, delete your account.
And how many people are doing that?
Tell you, right? I don't know what else to tell you. They're not forcing you to be on Facebook. They've built a product that gathers your attention and gathers the attention of all the other consumers. Yep. And so if you'd like to talk to other people without having to go knock on every door, that's a really easy way to do it, right? And so they win. Sorry, they do. So but if we understand that that's their goal, then the technology and the algorithm that they have built is solely focused on that. So then if we feed the algorithm with good data that says, hey, when I post something, I get Jimmy to like it or comment on it or engage on it, then that tells the algorithm, okay, Jimmy likes stuff that Mike posts. And therefore, when Mike posts other content, we're going to show it to Jimmy because Jimmy likes it, and it's going to keep Jimmy on the platform, which is going to mean now I can show more ads in Jimmy's feed, which means we can make more money, right? They have zero desire to fill Jimmy's feed with stuff that he cares nothing about.
Yep.
They just don't. Now, that doesn't mean that every single thing that pops up in your news feed is going to be 100% relevant. We've all had stupid or weird things pop up. However, something that you did, commented on, whether it was a joke, not something led them to believe that you might be interested in that, or it would not be in your feed. Okay, fair enough. So you know that, now we can leverage that. And so for those of you that work with us, we try and help you with that, right? What that daily post is for. So I create a piece of content every single day for our agents, and I send that out for them to be able to use on your own social platforms. And the whole goal of that is to help for those that just aren't the creative type, right? And just need something to post, gives you something to every day. And I am leveraging what I know about the algorithm, that 9 times out of 10, that post doesn't need to be real estate related. It just needs to be something that someone's going to click on, respond to, engage with, comment on. I'm just looking to drive engagement for each of the agents, right? Most of the time. And then, we're going to sprinkle in some real estate. But if we do a really good job on the engagement side, the rest will play out in the way that we want. Because then once I get a lot of people to engage on that piece of content, right? If Jimmy does a video in his Batman costume, right, that gets a lot of views and a lot of engagement and a lot of laughs, well, then guess what? When he actually posts his next, just listed or just sold or any of those are going to now get more engagement because he just got more engagement on the other piece of content, right? And that's how the algorithm works. That's how this game is played. So that's why 9 times out of 10, I'm not giving you a traditional real estate post, right? And so I want to show an example of this before we go any further. So just to prove my point, and I know Lauren's on because she already made fun of my white jacket.
It is nice.
Now I'm going to go through her feed one picture at a time and make fun of. No, I'm just kidding. So I do want to show this though, because Lauren sticks out as doing an amazing job, really mixing up her content. But I just want to scroll down here real quick. So you'll see as I scroll through, right, we've got some true real estate stuff, some successes, but we also have stuff like this. So this is one of the daily posts that I made the other day. 207 comments.
That's crazy. In a good way. In a good way.
That's what we want.
Yes, that's the engagement we're looking for.
Now, most people would see this and be like, well, what in the world does a real estate agent or a real estate company, for that matter, have any business posting this? Because I don't care if it's about real estate. What I care about is I want as many people to engage with this and see it as possible. And so I need to give them what they care about. If it was what I cared about, everything would be about real estate because that's all we care about, right?
Right.
That's unfortunately the rest of the world doesn't. They don't care that you just got a new listing unless they do, right? Which is a very small portion of your group. If I'm not in the market, I don't care that you just got a new listing. Just the reality, right? That may sound rude. We may be friends, but friends with Jimmy, I don't care that he just got a new listing. I mean, I do because we work together. But if we didn't, right, I wouldn't care. I mean, just being honest, I wouldn't, right? Now, Jimmy posts something that I think is funny or that I can comment on. Now I'm game, right? Now I'm going to comment. Now I'm going to engage. I have to give me what he cares about, and Jimmy has to give me what I care about. And that's how this game is played. But when we just look at a simple, silly post like this, this is and if you don't work for Century 21, I apologize, or for a big brand, I apologize. One of the advantages to a big brand is it makes that comment of us making subtle reminders, right, of who we are. It makes it so much easier because, like it or not, every single person who looks at this post subconsciously knows that Lauren's in real estate because Century 21 is on the post. And we got a little Century 21 fading here in the background. And all those little subtle details are not the main purpose of this post, but all 207 people who commented on it saw this. And that's powerful, right? That's super powerful, because now she's slowly starting to build brand in all 207 people. When they thought about this post and commented on it, they thought about her, and they subconsciously thought about real estate, because Century 21 triggers real estate instantly. It's power of the brand. So now Lauren has this. Now, what does this also mean? Well, now this means that 207 people have told the algorithm that they care about what Lauren's posting. So now every post that Lauren starts to follow up with will likely be shown to a very high percentage of these 207 people. And that's how this game is played, right? So what are your thoughts on that, Jimmy? Obviously, I can jump into your feed too. You do a great job of this as well. But just what comments do you have on that?
Well, I mean, if you look at it, yes, as a big box, if you want to call it, with Century 21, you helping us out with these posts each day, and giving us, something easy, something super easy that you can get on there to have the engagement like something like this. And first of all, the post itself, I'm not going into the post, but it's relevant. If you're on social media, on any of the platforms, you're seeing a lot of this stuff already. So relevance does make sense when you're starting to post, when you're posting things. But the amount of engagement, getting that many people to comment on it. And I know when we go into the next session, we're going to go a little bit more, well, what do you do with all of that? That's the first step, but that's a big first step. And to have something like that, it's absolutely insane. I'm sure there's people that get thousands and thousands of comments, don't get me wrong. But I'll tell you what, by something just as simple as that, she shared another post, right? Which I know we're going to get into, later too, but she shared another post. She got a ton of engagement off of it. A lot of people now in that algorithm are starting to see when she pops up. So that relevance, when she does, if you want to call it a listing, or maybe she just wants to say, hey, real estate's freaking insane right now. Call me. Whoa, sorry about that. Give me a call. Let me know what's going on. She's just getting in front of that many more people. And that's kind of what this is all about. I've seen a ton of other agents that just randomly post things, like randomly, the randomest things. When I read some of these posts, I want to call and say, are you okay? Like the question that you're asking, like, is everything fine? But that's why they did it. There's nothing wrong with them. They just did that, and the engagement is off the chain. And then eventually, the more that you connect with them, and I know the third one is consistency. That's probably one of the biggest ones in my eyes, besides just actually doing it. Like, stop thinking too much into it and actually do something. The more consistent you stay with it, then eventually, yes, the business is going to come. It's just like a pipeline. That's what it is. You're not going to always just have the first time you contact someone's going to, buy a house from you. You need to engage with them. You need to learn about them. You got to get into their minds and what they're into. And then eventually it's going to pay for itself.
100%. Absolutely. And I'm glad you actually hinted on, some people may get thousands. You're right. There are celebrities and big time influencers. And unfortunately, I think that's set an unrealistic expectation. It set this thing that, if we get 1,000 comments or 1 million views, that it's not worth it. What? Guys, if one person sees it, right, it's worth it.
Yes.
If 10 see it, how many of you, if you're honest, if you're new to this business, had 10 people that you talked to yesterday? Did you talk to 10 people and tell them you were in real estate? If you're honest, probably not.
Right.
But if you made that post and 10 people saw it, you kind of did. Right. So like, we need to reframe what is success, right? And I don't care if one person sees it or 200 comment on it, you're getting value, right? And it's so important to not let something like that be a reason that you're not posting. And we'll get into the excuse side of this in a little bit, but that's just super important mindset shift, right? We have to reframe the way we're thinking about social.
Right.
And so I think we've hit on a couple of these things, right? We have to understand what our sphere wants. We have to understand that they want us as human beings, right? And just real quick, I'll just jump back into Lauren's real quick here. This is why what else she's doing is important, right?
Yeah.
Showing this other stuff is super important. Yes, I want you to mix in your successes. Absolutely. You have a closing? Yes, tell that story, right? And good job of it. Lauren does a pretty good job of this. Tell the story. What was this woman's journey? How did you help her? Like those types of things. Tell the story. And we're going to dive into that when we get into the second hour of this, which is all about the content creation side, because that's all about storytelling. But mixing in this stuff with successes, with this, right? And I saw this post and I love this. So somebody else came on and tagged another person in it and Lauren to see how to join Lauren's locals page, because this is something Lauren's been working hard on, is building out where she actually is helping small businesses and advocating for them, right? And she's getting a recommendation here for that. You know how powerful that is?
Yeah.
Like amazingly powerful, because now we're engaging in our community, right? And we're building our sphere. And this is how we're going to build trust. This is how we're going to build connection. This is how we're going to build influence. Because if Lauren can bring value to the owner of Fat Willie's Fish Camp, whether he looks for a house, what do you think he's going to do when someone is sitting in his restaurant? And what do small business owners do really, really well? They do really well of connecting with their customer, because they have to, right? They have to separate themselves from the other places. So they go in, they start talking. Now I'm sitting there with Jimmy. I'm like, hey, Jimmy, oh, yeah, we just moved here. Someone said we had to try this place out. Oh, thanks for coming in. Where'd you move from? Blah, blah. We're looking for a house, actually. We're just starting a search. Oh, my God, you got to call Lauren.
Yes. Yes.
Right? They become your billboard, your walking, talking billboard. That's the power we can get, right? And it starts from one post that maybe one or two people see, and it grows from there, right? And that's what we want to get across today. So now, also on the engagement front, it's really important, and this is something Lauren's been doing a better and better job of. I'm just going to click on this for a second. Any post you get, whether it's 1 comment, 17 comments, 207 comments, you owe it to all 207 people to go and like their comment and respond to their comment.
Yes.
And start the conversation. Because what is this, guys? This is our conversation at scale. Starting a conversation. I'm asking a question. They respond to my conversation. Then I respond. This is how a conversation works.
Is that how it works?
I talk, you talk, right?
Okay.
That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
But this is giving me the ability to do it with 207 people essentially at one time.
Yep.
Right? Versus me having to go and have one-on-one just conversation with just Jimmy. Right? Which is great too, just not as good. So that's the power of social if we do it right. If we actually take the time now to come in and re-engage and have conversations. And if I really want to take it to the next level, when it's your post, you'll see that you actually can come in, click on it, and then click and message the person. You'll see under the 3 dots that you can actually message them. I don't think it's going to let me do it just because I'm not the actual poster. But when it's your post, you can actually, there's a message button, like a reply, and then you should reply to them in the feed, but then you'll see message. And if I were you, I'd click that little message button, and now I can start 207 one-on-one conversations in Messenger. And that conversation starter can simply be, hey, thanks so much for coming on the post. Your response was super funny. What's going on in your world? How's everything? That's it. Maybe they respond, maybe they don't. Right? But giving yourself the opportunity to have these one-on-one conversations. This is how and I want to point out, Jimmy, how much money did this cost Lauren?
Nothing.
0.
Nothing.
$0. So every time I get a new marketing consultation with one of our new agents, they're like, oh, how much money do I need to put aside for marketing? 0. If you're willing to do the work.
Right.
If you're willing to do simple things, right? 0. So I just want to point this is all around engagement, right? And we're going to dive into engagement a little bit more as we get a little later into actually the daily actionable items that I want you to take. But this is kind of the big premise, right? This is the big thing I want to take away from this. So let's dive back in here. So number 2, let's load for a second here so everyone can see.
There we go.
So now number 2 is connecting, right? And we kind of hinted at this just now, but now it's taking the time to actually leverage the work, right? Put in the work. We started these conversations, we got things flowing, but now it's time to take it to that next level. And that's what I was hinting at, right? Clicking the little message button and having a one-on-one conversation. How long does that take, right? You're literally clicking message and typing a couple words, a couple minutes, a minute, 30 seconds, 10 seconds to at least start it, right? It's not hard. And the best part about it being on Facebook Messenger or Instagram DM or whatever platform you're on is that you can do multiple at one time, and then you can go back to doing what else you were doing and come back to it on later. And they're all mobile apps, right? So now I can go on the go and still maintain that one-on-one conversation. And I could be walking and showing clients one house, and in between while they're looking at something, replying. Where else can I do that? I can't do that if I'm door knocking, right? And I'm not saying don't door knock, so don't kill me. What I am saying is that social, if this is going to be something that you're focusing on, is a great way for you to be able to accomplish all of your goals and do multiple things essentially at one time, right? So it's a huge tool, but we've got to connect with people. And this goes back to the class that Chris and Jeff were just doing of connecting with people. This is an art. Right? When I message somebody, before I message them, I'm going to go click on their profile because I don't know about you, but I've got like 5,000 friends on Facebook. I don't know them all, right? There's a lot of people who comment on my stuff that I don't know. We're connected one way or another. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to take the time to enter their world. I'm going to go click on their profile. I'm going to go learn something about them. I'm going to see if I can tell based on a video or a post what kind of personality they are, or find a connection point. Oh, they went to the University of Tampa. That's awesome. So did I, right? Boom. Now we got a connection point. So now when I message them one-on-one, I'm not just messaging them, I'm entering their world and actually building trust and building connection from the very first time I reach out.
Yeah. And I think that's super, super important though, man. You have to. It's like not making a cold call without anything to say. Like, yeah, you can say, thanks so much for commenting on this. I really appreciate it. What's going on? Hey, I see that you had a new baby, or you talked about, you like the Redskins, or whatever it may be. You have to find what those connection points are. And it's building a relationship, and it's tough to build a relationship when you don't have some of those facts. But the great thing with any of the social media platforms is you can see their life is literally right there for you to take a look at to see what's happening. So you can make those connection points and have some really nice conversations with them.
100%, right? So super important, guys. Take the time. This is all about going to that next level of your business, right? And this is the way to take it to the next level. If social is going to be something you focus on. If it's not, that's cool too. It would not be the lane that Craig picks, right? But if you're on this class right now, then I'm guessing that social is something that you do want to focus on in your business. Right. And I would advise it for most people because it's not going anywhere, right? So might as well be educated on it and actually leverage it for what it's worth. So if it is, this is how you're going to actually leverage it for free to benefit your business, right? So we've got to build trust. Trust is what's going to build influence. And honestly, it's very simple to do. It just takes time, so you have to be patient with it, and then you've got to be consistent, which we're going to dive into in a minute, and you've got to just be willing to go enter their world, because this is not about you in any way, shape, or form. Social media, when used for business especially, has nothing to do with you and everything to do with your audience. Now, the only time it has to do with you is that you need to be authentic, right? Jimmy can't pretend to be a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Nope.
That won't work.
Nope.
Right? He can't do it. But Jimmy can certainly use his passion for football to talk to a Dallas Cowboys fan, right? And a lot of times, him being a Redskins fan is a great way to break that ice. Hey, we probably shouldn't even talk because you're a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Right.
and I'm a Redskins fan. However, right, and that's a great way to start it. But if Jimmy tries to pretend, even on social, to be something he's not, that's instantly working against what we're trying to do, which is build trust and build influence, right? So we have to be authentic. However, nothing else about it is about you. Everything has to be, what does my audience want? Let me give them more of that. And then let me go enter their world when we have a conversation, and let me reply the way that they reply. And that was one of the biggest things I learned when I first joined, right? Was spending all my time around Jeff. Was I had become very, very good at, just from a sales background, just connecting with people, matching, being able to do it from a one-on-one perspective, right? When we're face to face. What I had not really mastered was, or even really thought about, was doing it via email, doing it via text, doing it via Facebook, right? Didn't think about it. And so when someone replies to your comment, should you reply in the same way that they replied?
Yes.
100%.
100%.
But it's such a subtle thing, right?
Yeah.
We're on our phones just doing this. Oh yeah, I'll just reply to him real quick. We're not thinking about, oh, like he used visual
emojis
words, so
and all this.
Reply with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, they use 5 emojis. Let me use emojis, right?
Yep.
And I see it all the time. Someone replies back in a very analytical way, and then the reply is with 17 emojis. That doesn't work. You just immediately reply to someone not in their language, right? Yep. In the same way, though, that if I'm not an emoji user, someone uses 17 emojis, guess what I'm replying with? 17 emojis. Someone replies with a GIF. Guess what? I'm giving them a GIF right back, right? Like those are things that if we pay attention to, can really build connections so much faster and so much deeper than ever before, right? But we have to be paying attention to that. So the third big thing is consistency. And in order to be consistent on social, because for many of you, no matter what I say, no matter what I show you, it is time consuming, right? It's an energy draw. You're not a marketer, you're a real estate agent. This is easy for you to say, Mike, you're in marketing, you've been doing this your whole life. And you're right. It is, right? And I appreciate that. And I think Jimmy was in the very first class I ever did, because I was only here about 4 days. Jeff like fills an auditorium with every agent we have and is like, hey, teach them how to do Facebook ads. I'm like, all right. And I went in there and I gave my marketing spiel and how to build Facebook funnels and all this stuff. And I look out, and outside of probably Jimmy, every other agent was like, what in the, is he even speaking English? What is happening up there? And I realized, like, all right, like this isn't going to work. And I am not entering their world, right? I'm not being respectful of my audience. I'm telling them what I want to tell them, not what they want to hear, right? Or need to hear for that matter. And so it took me a while, but I slowly started to realize, like, all right, what is the norm and what does my audience need and how can I bring them value? And once I did that, I was able to realize that, okay, we just need to really keep it simple, because if we can keep it simple, we will do it every day. The problem is when we complicate things or it becomes too overwhelming or time consuming, we're not going to do it. It's human nature. We're not going to do it, right? And so if we don't fall in love with the process, if we don't keep it simple, then we're not going to do it, which is why I have agents come to me all the time, right? And say, oh, well, I want to go interview CEOs of all these companies, and then I'm going to start that podcast, and that podcast is going to put me in front of a lot of really wealthy people, which ultimately will put me in a framework to go get higher dollar listings. Right? I hear this all the time. And in theory, that's great, right? But Jimmy knows, because he does actually something that's a little bit more complicated with his brand that he's built. It's not easy to go book hundreds of CEOs, which you're going to need if you want to be consistent on it, right? So the idea is great, but in execution, I think you're going to hit a bunch of hurdles. And the second you start to hit a bunch of hurdles, you're going to stop. And so what I try and do is get them to take a step back and say, okay, yes, that's great, but what is something that you have access to, right? For Jimmy, that was, oh, well, I have access to costumes. it's easy for me to go get a Batman costume, right? It's a weird thing for him to pick, and I'm not sure why he owns so many costumes.
I don't know either.
That's probably not for this class.
No,
However,
no.
he has access to them. And so for him, it's easily transferable for him to say, okay, well, if I like being funny, right? So he's being himself, he's being authentic, he's doing something different. And I can do this. I can easily dress up as Batman. I can easily dress up as the Grinch for Christmas. I can do these things because it's easy for me to do over and over and over again, right? And that creates a framework that allows Jamie to be consistent on it.
Yeah.
And that's the key, right? That is the key to consistency. So you can speak to that for a minute, Jimmy. I mean, obviously you went through several different marketing ideas, but this is the one that stuck.
Yeah.
And so how have you been able to stay consistent with it?
Well, I mean, I would honestly say, I mean, you hit it kind of right on the head at first. It's just, I'm pretty sure I was one of those people that was like, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do this. I mean, how many times have we even had that conversation on other things? And then it gets to the point where I don't want to say you get overwhelmed, but you start thinking so much of what you need to do and what you need to do. You never actually do it. So, for me, I was trying a whole bunch of different things. And I'll tell you, a lot of people come into the business and they think they have to, be a certain type of realtor, have a certain type of brand, look a certain way, talk a certain way. It is what it is. But you talked about being genuine. And when you start trying to act like someone you're not being genuine. That's when people will start realizing that, okay, no, he's not a Cowboys fan. What are you talking about? I looked at his post and I saw Washington football. Like, what's going on? He's lying to me, for me, I just, and I tell this to everyone, find something that you're passionate about, and it's not dressing up in costumes for me. I just like bringing a certain type of energy. I like having fun. I like being stupid sometimes. And, and I was just like, I'm just going to try something that I know I'm going to enjoy. I think people are going to get a good laugh, because that's kind of what a lot of people think of me. Not laughing specifically at me because I'm an idiot, but because I'm funny sometimes, and I was just like, well, what if I do this though, what's going to happen? Like, some people aren't going to like it. Some people aren't going to want a realtor to dress up like Batman and do and show a house. Like, they're not going to want that. And, you helped me through that too. You're like, who cares? Some people are going to like it. Some people aren't. It is what it is. But I decided to do something that I was passionate about. And really, when it came down to just the energy and stuff that I bring. And I just decided, I'm just going to do it. And that was kind of like a thing that just clicked for me. I realized I'm not going to be like all these other people. I'm just going to do what makes me happy. This is who I am. This is the type of agent I want to be. I dressed up. I did this great Facebook Live video, and it just kind of blew up from there. I tripped. I fell. I mean, I was scared to do it. Like, I don't know why. Like, I can get up in front of people and talk, but for some reason, going live on Facebook, I was scared to do that. And like I said, I tripped, my bat belt fell off. I almost lost my pants. There were so many different things that went wrong.
Came down.
Huh?
It came down.
Okay,
your pants came down.
But yeah, I just did it. I said, whatever, what's going to happen? And then it kind of blew up from there. And I have gotten business. People are saying, whatever, it's a gimmick. You dress like that. No, I get people that call me and say they want me to do a preview of their home dressed as Batman. I have people that call me and say, hey, it's Christmas time, and you guys show me houses. Will you dress up like Santa Claus for when my kids get there? Just whatever it is. It's just me. But I realized that you have to be yourself, and you have to do things that energize you, that you love to just do. And that's the same thing with everything that we're kind of talking about. Get involved in people's lives, start getting into, and I know the next session, we're going to talk a little bit more about really getting into the things that, that can help drive your business, but also things that you really enjoy, that you have in common with other people. You just have to do it. And I think, consistency is big, always posting every day, always doing all those things. But the first thing, you have to do it. I'm not saying you have to go live. I'm not saying you have to do a video. I'm not saying you have to put a picture of a listing up saying, come see this thing. You have to do something. You got to get it out of your head that you're going to plan, and then just never do it. You have to start somewhere, or none of these things that we're talking about are going to be able to provide anything for you.
No.
And then stay consistent. Can you continue to do it daily, weekly? I get people that say, hey, I haven't seen Batman. It's been like a month. What's going on? Is he okay? He was on vacation, whatever. It is what it is.
We need more Batman.
We need more, just like more cowbell.
No, 100% though. This isn't a magic pill, right? This is a great option. It's just not a magic pill. So let's dive into some tools and some things that we created to try and allow you. So hopefully, 15 minutes from now, if this is the only half you watch of this class, that you walk away with something that you can go do every day. Now, the second half of this, starting at 4, is going to be focused really solely on the actual content creation itself. But let's dive into this first. So this slide to me is super important because for those of you that are not executing on social the way that you want, it is likely due to one of these reasons, right? So these are the most common things that I hear. I don't have time. My job is to sell homes, not just social media. I don't know what to say or post. I didn't grow up with this. I don't know how to post. I heard you should post at 10 a.m. I'm busy then. I don't overwhelm. So blah, blah, blah. All of these, right? These are excuses that we tell ourselves. And as we are really, really good at logically justifying to ourselves why we don't do things that we know we really should do, but it makes us feel better and it makes it easier to swallow. And so we're really good at it, right? This is how we internalize things, and this is how we try and cope with things that we're letting ourselves down about. It's just how we do things, right? So the faster and easier we can get over this and stop making excuses and realize that you're in complete control. And there's a lot of power in, right? There's a lot of power. I personally love accountability, and I've been trying to teach this to my kids big time. I want to teach them accountability more than any other skill on the planet, because when you are accountable and you hold yourself accountable, then everything is your fault. And if everything is my fault, then that means that I have the power and control to fix it. Because that in itself to me is so powerful. So I love the fact that everything is my fault. When something doesn't go right, it's on me. But that means that I have the ability to go fix it, right? Which is super, super powerful. So time to eliminate these excuses. And I think the guide that we've come up with allows you to do that, right? I think it really eliminates every single excuse on here. So let's dive into that. So here's the guide. I don't care if you're not one of our agents, you may want to take a screenshot of this. If you are one of our agents, this is on Beggins Agents, the actual guide. And so it walks you through all of this.
Hey, Mike, quick question. So Sarah asked, which mobile app should I use the most?
Which social platform?
Which one should she use the most?
I love this question. All of them.
Yes.
Now,
there you go. There's your answer. Done. Whoop, whoop.
Let me preface that, Sarah, because that may feel like a cop out. All of them, comma, the one that you will use the most.
Oh, right? Never mind. So she said no. Sorry, that was tools for agents before we went into social media.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay.
Well, I am sure though.
I'm sure people are asking, which one should I use? Should I use Facebook? Should I use Instagram?
Yeah.
Should I use TikTok?
They're asking.
You're asking TikTok?
Yourself, do I need to do this on all of them? TikTok's for 13-year-olds, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, guess what? Facebook used to only be for college kids. It's not anymore, right? So I don't know. My general advice is all of them. If you really want to leverage it for everything it's worth, use all of them. Now we're going to use them in slightly different ways, right? So we'll dive into that here actually as part of the. So what you're going to see as part of this guide is there are 10 things that I want you to do, really 9, because 10 is just repeat, but 1 through 9, right? 9 things, guys, not 100, not 72, 9. It's all I want you to do every day. These are 9 things that if you do these every day, you will have success on social. Okay. Number 1 is make 5 comments on 5 different posts on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Twitter. Okay. And here's why it's important to have a presence on each of these platforms. So I'm going to escape out of here for a minute. So on Facebook, we just went through what's powerful on Facebook, right? And so Lauren's got her following there. Now, if Lauren also takes time to go onto LinkedIn and leverage LinkedIn, we're going to be able to leverage LinkedIn in a slightly different way, right? So I'm going to go ahead and X out of Facebook just because I don't want to slow this all down. Let me see. I can get out again.
While that's loading up, Rachel said, has asked, when you comment, should you comment as yourself or as a business page?
No, you want to comment. So your comments, if they're on your business, comment from your business page, right? If they're on your personal profile, comment on your personal profile. Yep. The nice thing is that if you're doing a really good job with making sure you're sharing content back and forth, it's not going to matter, right? Because essentially they're going to be feeding each other. Yep. So ideally, you will be posting, like, let's say you're using the daily post that I send out. Hopefully, you're going to be taking that daily post, putting it on your Facebook business page, let's say, and then sharing that over to your personal page. So you're going to be leveraging the two, right, to benefit from one another. But the importance of being on multiple platforms is that each of them have benefits that the others don't have, right? And so LinkedIn, like when this loads, I love LinkedIn for one major reason over everything else. Well, for starters, almost everyone on LinkedIn has a job, which is pretty good when you're in real estate and you want to sell someone a house because they typically have to have a job. So that is a pretty, unless we're watching HGTV, in which case they can like color pictures with colored pencils and make $1 million a year and have a $2 million budget. If we're in real life, then they have to have a real job. But if I come into LinkedIn and I click my network, what I love that they do is they segment based on my profile that I've built out, right? So it's got my education, my work history, what I do for a living, all those things are in here. And then what it does is it separates things out. So I can build my social network by people that I have connection points already with.
Yep.
Right? And it tells me what that connection point is. So these are other people that went to the University of Tampa. Interesting. If I was an agent, would it be a smart idea for me to come in and connect with every single person? Because that literally first message can be, hey, I see that you're a Spartan, so am I. Always love to connect with other Spartans. That's it. Right? Simple as that, but it's a connection point. Yep. Then if I scroll down, people with similar roles. These are other people who do something similar to me, which means we have connection point professionally. Great. Do you think it's important that you build connections and relationships with other agents? Do you think in a competitive market, if you had a really strong relationship with an agent and you put an offer in with your client that you might have a little bit of an advantage?
Yep.
I don't know, right? Probably better than not. I sure wouldn't want to roll the dice. So building connections with other agents is important, right? Now, if I scroll down, people you may know in greater Tampa Bay area. So if I want to own my area, I can now connect with other people. Now, obviously, I'm doing a lot of recruiting and things of that nature. So a lot of these folks, for me, the algorithm's going to pick up our agents. For you, they're going to be other business people, right? So this is an awesome way for me to start growing my network in the geographic area that I want to farm.
Yep.
This is how I do it, right? This is super powerful. And again, now I can keep going down. Real estate industry, right? So this whole thing is so important to be able to leverage this, to be able to grow my sphere with targeted people that I want to grow with. Now on LinkedIn also, if I come back to the home real quick, when I comment on LinkedIn, if you've got your job title, right? Like, so C21 Beggins, realtor, whatever you want to put in your job title there, that shows up when you comment. So now if I follow rule number 1 of the daily marketing guide that I just showed you, which is go comment on 5 posts, right? I can come in and when I comment, strategically comment, go through my feed here and comment on the post, guess what's popping up next to my name? That I'm in real estate.
Yep.
So again, going back to that subtle reminder, and when they see the word Century 21, instantly real estate, and they're not even paying attention to it. But if I do it consistently, it's that subtle reminder,
Yep.
right? Without me being in their face, without me being salesy, without me asking for anything, I'm accomplishing my goal by just leveraging the name and leveraging the way the platform works, right? Because look at all these comments. His job title is right under the comment, under the comment, under the comment, under the comment, right? That is super powerful. So I love LinkedIn. Okay. Now, LinkedIn is a more professional network.
Yep.
So the way that I engage my sphere, the mindset they're in, the way they're commenting, the posts that they're making are probably different here than it is on Facebook. So I need to respect that, right? But that's why it's important that my sphere here is going to be different than my sphere on Facebook, which is why it's important for me to be connected on both and have spheres on both. Same thing with Instagram. So Devin Weiser is one of our agents, one of our top agents. She does an amazing job on Instagram, right? Now, this is just to show you a little bit of a different vibe of what some people do compared to others. Now, she leverages Instagram extremely well. And all she does is really focus on really beautiful photographs. She sprinkles in the fact that she's a top producer, which is fantastic. She's constantly reminding people that she's in real estate with these beautiful photos. But at the same time, she's showing her,
Yep.
right? She's not afraid to be human. She's sprinkling that in too, right? She's sprinkling in her family. She's sprinkling in all this other stuff in the midst of real estate. And it gets really good engagement, 243 likes, right? 13 comments, 130. Like, this is all really good stuff. And this though, the 163 likes on this photo probably doesn't happen if she's also not posting stuff like this.
Yep.
Because look at the difference, right? This just shows you what her sphere cares about. Do they want to see Devin being Devin, or do they want to see what Devin does for a living? I don't know. 392 versus 163. Both are great, but which one got more? Devin being Devin. This just shows you that that's what they want, guys. They want you. They don't want real estate. Now, it's important to mix it in, which Devin does an amazing job of.
Yes.
Right? But it's just important to know that when she posts a photo of herself, she's getting 300 to 400. When she posts pictures of real estate, she's getting 100 to 200. Big difference, right? So that's that. I just want to prove that point. But leveraging Instagram, because your sphere on Instagram and the way you use Instagram is going to be different, right? And then TikTok. So I'm going to show Jimmy on TikTok because he's been doing some really funny stuff on there. Him and Chris, I'm sure Chris will appreciate some of these. But TikTok, right? Oh, that's for 13-year-olds. Is TikTok going to get you a ton of real estate transactions today? Probably not.
Probably not.
But is TikTok growing? Yes. Has TikTok exploded since it really changed from Musical.ly to TikTok? 1,000,000,000%. Is TikTok on a path to become the most used social network? Yep. So do you think getting on now, early, while no one's really paying attention yet, so you can figure out what works, you can make mistakes, you can post some random things, is a good idea? I do. Why would you not, right? So I don't know. Jimmy's average video in 100 to 250 views. Do you want another 100 to 250 people? And I guarantee you that these views are not views he's getting on LinkedIn. These aren't the same people watching him on Facebook. This is from a younger, different crowd.
It's a very big deal. And, they ask the question, like, which one do you use? Which platform? And yes, you use all of them. And I'm sure most of the people that I know are probably on multiple platforms. I'm sure they are. But some people are looking for certain things on different things. So, I may have somebody here on TikTok that wants to look at TikTok. That's what they do. That's where they're going to get their information. That's where they spend the majority of their time. Some people do a Facebook, some people do LinkedIn, some do Instagram, some do Twitter. I mean, you name it. But by being on all of them and doing something on all of them, you're getting the capability of getting into their little sphere in their head, whatever you want to call it, to allow yourself, again, subtly I'm not sitting there asking for business on any of that stuff, but subtly get in their heads. So when it is time, when they do have those real estate questions, when those things are happening, they're going to be reaching out to you. Right?
100%. So here's the guide. We're going to go on those 5 main networks. We're going to comment on 5 different posts in that feed. We're going to engage, right? Rule number 1, engage. That's what we're doing. We're going to comment. We're going to engage. Then we're going to go to the search bar of each of those platforms, and we're going to search our community group, right? Or our area, the area that you want to dominate. So if that's Apollo Beach, search Apollo Beach. If that's Brandon, search Brandon. If that's Orlando, search Orlando. If that's somewhere in South Carolina, search somewhere in South Carolina. Find community groups and engage in the groups. Go join every single one of them and go engage, go comment in the groups, right? So that's what this rule number 2 is telling you. Once you search, 3 is join them. 4 is to go in that group and comment on 3 different posts in each of those groups. That does not mean go post, I'm an agent, I'd like to sell you a house. No, no, no. That means they post a picture of a sunset that you go comment on it. Wow, that's a beautiful sunset.
Yeah.
That's what it means. We're engaging. We're engaging, right? Now, we're then going to go create a post for our business page. And we're going to into that in 1 minute. And then we're going to share that post from our business page over to the personal page, and a relevant post to the groups. We're going to share it. Now, most groups have rules about posting, about a listing and that kind of stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. To Lauren's point, let's say Lauren made a post about the Bubba Fish Camp or whatever that was. I forget the name of the restaurant, but she made that post about them. Now, is that relevant to the other people who live in the area who may want to go to that restaurant? Sure. So she can share that post into the groups. Now she's bringing value to local groups. She's bringing more value to that business owner. And that's a huge thing, right? So we want to do that. Then we want to go on Messenger and we want to message 5 people one-on-one, whether those are people who commented on our stuff, whether those are 5 people that we haven't talked to in a while. We're going to start a conversation one-on-one with 5 people. Okay. Then we're going to go into each platform and we're going to add 5 new connections. I just showed you on LinkedIn how you could add a way more than that. If you want to add way more, add more. I'm just asking you to at least add 5 per platform. And every single one of them has a version of what I just showed you on LinkedIn. Facebook, click on the little friend icon. And it's going to show you a bunch of people that you have common connections with. Yep. Go pick 5, connect with them. Okay. This is how we grow our audience. This is how we grow our sphere organically. Go connect with them. Then we're to re-engage and engage, just like we talked about in the first few minutes of this, with any comment that we get on our own content. That's it. Guys, once you get good at this, this should take you under 30 minutes a day. And if you do this, this is the math behind it. After 1 day, you will have commented and engaged with 25 different pieces of content. You will have commented and engaged with a minimum of 3 pieces of community and niche content in the area that you want to farm. You will have added 25 new people to your sphere. You will have started one-on-one conversations with 25 people, and you will have a piece of content with exposure on 5 different platforms in 1 day. You do this Monday through Friday, take all of this, times it by 5. That's it. And it cost you $0.
How much?
0.
0. Big 0.
I don't know what else to say, guys. To me, if you're not willing to do this, social is probably not your thing.
Yep.